Gore Vidal will have a dictatorship soon in the United States, and he doesn't know how right he is. This is the Times Online out of the UK. Just an extensive article about how he, too, was duped by Obama, and he thought that change was coming. Well, the change is here, and it's not what anybody expected, and he's calling it like he sees it. We'll have a dictatorship soon in the United States, and one of those steps is having privatized mercenary and military forces on the streets. And it's happening in Hardin, Montana, as we speak. We're going to open the phone lines up. Matt in Montana. Matt, you're on the line. Yes, sir.
How's it going?
It's rough today. I'm not going to lie. This is a tough story to deal with because it is reality.
I got to tell you, me and a friend investigated the scene yesterday before Alex got there. I was trying to get a hold of you guys, but it's really hard to get a hold of you. But we got in and we interviewed Becky Shea, and I got a lot of great footage of just about every room, a lot of good stuff like that. But we were there for a few hours, and we did not see. God, I'm just really nervous. Sorry.
That's okay.
We didn't see any Black Hawk helicopters or any paramilitary forces around. The only thing we saw was her SUV just coming up right to us as we got into the parking lot.
And did it have the decals on at that point, or had they taken them off?
It was just a plain-looking black SUV, and I was wondering, it was Becky. She just came. She was talking to an Associated Press reporter on the phone, but she managed to say, "Hey, you guys want to come in and look at the place? The place. You guys look like your media, so come on in."
Well, I mean, she's a well-meaning person who's been thrust into this position. She probably didn't think it was going to be such a media storm so quickly. But let's just look at the American police force decals that were on there and how Orwellian and what they represent. First of all, they're not Americans. Okay, this guy, Michael Hilton, not an American. He's a convicted felon with numerous aliases, with ties to foreign government and mercenary agencies. Number two, they're not a police force. They admittedly cannot police the public there. So what is going on? They're prepping the American public. Again, just because there weren't troops there yesterday or perhaps today doesn't mean they're not, going to bring them in. I mean, if you read the Associated Press stories, she says, yes, this will be a training facility. The only thing that she's denying is that it will be used as a Gitmo-type detention center. So she's saying that all the prisoners that are going to be held here will be domestic, in other words, from the United States. But they don't necessarily have to be from Montana, which is also troubling. But what troubles me the most is who they put in charge, how this is a private operation, and how they're bringing in foreign troops, Matt. Matt, I hope you post those videos over to YouTube. Send them to rob@infowars.com and articles at infowars.com, and we will post those ASAP. I thank you for the call. Let's jump to Paul in Oregon. Paul, you're on the line.
Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir.
I spoke to Blackwater directly today. I wanted to point out that earlier today, the gentleman you thought spoke to Blackwater actually had corrected himself and said he spoke to APF. I called Blackwater myself. They adamantly deny this. Basically what they said is the lady who answered the phone, as soon as I brought up APF in Montana, she transferred me to a lady who would not identify herself. Wanted to know who I was, what organization I was with, what part of the country I was from, and said that APF is illegally using Blackwater insignias and symbols, and they're thinking about taking action against them.
So wait a minute, what you're telling me is that Blackwater is saying that APF is illegally using their logos and insignias, and they're trying to distance themselves from this organization?
That is what they told me, and I want to urge people to call 252-435-2488. That is the direct number to U.S. Training Center, which is the place in North Carolina that you guys have posted in some of your articles. And they won't identify who they are or who you're speaking with, and they'll ask a lot of questions of you. But they will. I just encourage everyone to call there and ask questions and to find out what is really going on here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the call, Paul. Let's go to Karen in Oregon. Karen, you're on the line. Yes, Karen.
Oh, Jason. What? Can you hear me?
Yes.
What I am advocating and what my people are advocating is a national strike on the 15th of October. We've had way too many reasons to take the strike. Gandhi says we need 3 things for a successful revolution. We need to be proactive, nonviolent, and massive in numbers. We're asking people to prepare themselves with food and supplies and get ready to stay home. On the 15th of October, no shopping, no flu shots. It's don't buy, don't comply. Ask why. No shopping, no flu shots. And ask why the government is continuing to disregard our Constitution and the legal petitions of redress from Bob Schultz and the We the People Foundation. My website, Jason, is Karen, KarenSQT @gmail.com. I'm asking for people everywhere throughout this great country to realize that by going to work, by keeping our money in the banks, we are supporting this corrupt government gone wild.
We're basically going along to get along when we do these things and we don't take action, and we're willing to take a check and say, yeah, I'll be your PR spokeswoman, or we're willing to allow this prison system to occur because, yeah, we're economically destitute. Please go check that out. I encourage people to take action, and she's right. Gandhi had the correct idea. We need to peaceably resist in large numbers and make people aware of what's truly going on. Kathy in New Orleans. Kathy, you're on the line. Yes, Kathy.
Hello?
Yes.
Jason, this is Kathy from New Orleans, and I'm sorry, I'm actually speaking to a minister right now. I had to excuse myself. Mm-hmm. I'm with Gary King with Patriot Radio in New Orleans, and we get to talk to Dr. Rima Labo every single week. And we spoke to her a couple of days ago, and today they're trying to have a lawsuit with the FDA.
Well, you know what? These lawsuits, and I thank you for the call, Kathy, in my mind, they don't go anywhere. All right, they don't even make people that aware other than within the Patriot network that already knows what's going on. I'm not saying don't try to get your message out there, don't try to take legal action, but we know about the mandatory vaccinations. We know the entire military, including the National Guard and Department of Defense personnel, are being forced to take the inoculation. We know they are telling students that if they don't take the inoculation and are absent for 10 days, which will be unexcused, they will become truant. They will have to redo that grade, and in many cases, CPS will come after your kids. We are living under a nightmare scenario. Let's go to Michael in Massachusetts. Michael, you're on the line.
Jason, what's up, brother?
How you doing, sir?
All this stuff, it's like right out of Jericho, isn't it? Do you see that show?
I watched the entire thing until they cut it off abruptly during the second season, where they had to wrap everything up in a nice bow in about an hour and a half.
Seriously, but this is like an opportunity. I mean, like, imagine, like, we're getting at, what was it, Ravenclaw or something like that? Before
Ravenwood was the Ravenwood was the private security force that they used there. Only they made people clamor for the inoculations. The inoculations weren't bad. Ravenwood, which is a Blackwater, parody, was protecting the inoculations, and the people had to fight to get their inoculations. So even in a show that exposed a lot of the quote unquote NWO agenda, there was propaganda lined throughout.
Hey, have you guys talked to Jeremy Scahill yet?
I'm not sure who that is.
Jeremy Scahill is kind of like the authority on all things Blackwater. He was a contributor to that Democracy Now! Show a lot. And keeping in the philosophy of Webster Topley and attacking from the left, I think it might be a great idea for you guys to get Jeremy Scahill on. Infowars has posted a number of his articles, and he appears to be a very independent person and knows everything.
Well, my producers are telling me that they've tried several times to get him on the program, but so far he's been uninterested. And unfortunately, people who are stuck in that left-right paradigm often don't want to come on the program, don't want to discuss things that they would discuss on, say, a Democracy Now!, which I think is a great news outlet. 90% of the stuff that comes out there is great, and we do cover here at Infowars.com. So if we can get them, we will definitely try. I thank you for the call. Let's go to Stephen in Texas. Stephen, you're on the line.
Yeah, hey, Jason. First of all, I wanted to say I was praying for you, and I'm so glad that you made it safely out of the illegal gathering zone in Pittsburgh. That that was pretty scary. I watched with horror all the video from that, but it doesn't surprise me. I wanted to say a couple things. First of all, I just talked to a good friend of mine last night. I want to comment on this Montana situation because I actually called out there, wasn't able to go. But I talked to a good friend of mine last night here, and he was having some problems with his electric. So he contacted the electric company, Entergy, and they finally got his electric on. He just bought a house. But they told him that they are going to be replacing the current meters they have with meters that are all GPS compatible.